See whenever you are.
Are we videotaping?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to call to order this meeting of the San Dieguito Water District Board of Directors. It's a little bit after 5 p.m., Wednesday, September 21st. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and let's do a roll call.
Board Member Hinsey is absent. Board Member Kranz?
Here.
Board Member Lyons?
Here.
Vice President Blakespear?
Here.
President Mosca?
Present.
Record will show that all members of the board are present with the exception of Board Member Hinsey. And please note that San Dieguito Water District board members receive an independent stipend of $100 for convening the Water District meetings pursuant to San Dieguito Water District Resolution number 89-07.
All right, please join me in a Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we have a special presentation today on our agenda. It's a Water Smart Landscape Contest and the presentation of one. And I think it's Water Resource Specialist Han that's going to do the presentation.
Thank you, President Mosca, members of the board. The Water Smart Landscape Contest is a contest which rewards and recognizes customers from participating water agencies for converting to water-efficient landscapes. This contest promotes and incentivizes conversion to water-efficient landscapes. Also, the contest represents an opportunity to recognize leaders within the community. These customers are taking proactive steps to conserve our precious resources and deserve recognition within the community. This year's winner for the San Dieguito Water District is the Kessler family. Gerald, Harrison, and Richard are here with us today. On the PowerPoint project, you can see some before photos along with the quote. Something special about this project would be that Harrison, the 16-year-old, is that correct? Did I get that? Perfect. He did most of the design and work on this project. So that's very special to see, and we're very happy to see that our customers are taking proactive steps to conserve water. And so on to the next slide, you can see how they've transformed their landscape to be drought tolerant. And they've also planted some agave plants as well. So very happy to see that. The winners receive a $250 gift card to the Home Depot. They receive this contest winner yard sign, a certificate of recognition, and recognition on the district's communication pieces. So just want to congratulate you, and we also invite you to come up for a little photo op with the members of the board.
Right. I want to thank the Harrison family. Thank you so much. This is such an important issue. And we're going to actually be discussing conservation today on our agenda and what more we can do, because obviously we're in a drought and we need folks to do exactly what you're doing. And just want to thank Harrison as well. The design is amazing. We actually have a landscape architect here on our board who probably admires the design that you've done. And so thank you so much. We're going to come down here and shake your hand right now. Come on down. I'll take a picture. All right.
This is the sign, yes.
This is the sign.
Yes, definitely hold the sign for the photo. Thank you. This is fun. Thank you. That's great. Congratulations to the dad. Congratulations.
Yeah, all right, great. I'm going to take some photos here. Ready, 1, 2,
$50 gift certificate.
As you are organizing yourself, I imagine Joe is okay with me just saying a couple words. I just wanted to thank you for the effort you put into that. And I have been to your yard, and I was there just recently. The butterflies are amazing. You have got a lot of pollinator species there, and it's just a nice sanctuary. So thank you so much. It's a good job.
Thank you, guys. All right, we're going to move on to oral communications. This is an opportunity for members of the public to discuss items that are not on our agenda. Do we have any members of the public wishing to
We have none?
speak to us? No? None. All right, so we have no public communications tonight. We don't have a report from closed session since we didn't have one. Are there any changes to the posted agenda?
There are no changes to the posted agenda, and moving to consent calendar, no one has removed any items from the consent calendar.
All right, fellow board members, we have 3 items on the consent calendar. Do we have
Move approval.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second. Let's vote. Oh.
Motion carries unanimously.
Great. We're going to move to our action items. First action item is 10A, board member initiated item from board member Lyons and board president Mosca regarding advancing the San Diego Water District programs and promotion of water conservation in our service area. I'm going to let Director Lyons take this, but this was exactly kind of what we were just talking about in terms of what more we can do to encourage conservation among our water customers. I know that they have done a lot over the last several years, and we have been recognized throughout the state as a area of the state that has really conserved a lot of water. But with the drought, we need to do more. And so what else can we do to actually to get to a higher level of conservation? So I'm going to hand this over to my colleague, Council Board Member Lyons.
Thank you, President Mosca. I'll tee it up a bit, and then I'm sure you would want to add some thoughts. We thought about bringing something forward after a dialogue that we've had with our leadership here in San Diego and staff. Where we asked the question, what are we doing for water conservation, and is there the opportunity for us to get input from our community to see what else we could be doing and what other ways we can connect our community with water conservation knowledge and water conservation tools. And what we decided is this is a good conversation to have. The timing is right. The timing is good. We are already doing a really solid job. We have good staff available. Augustine Hahn is in charge of our water conservation, and we've got skilled staff. We're doing some good things. But what we decided we needed to look at a little bit more in detail is how can we measure what we're doing? How can we then use that data to determine what else we can do? Let's ask the public what their ideas are. Let's look at other municipalities and agencies to look at what they're doing, and can we learn from their lessons? And so it merited a longer discussion, and I think that's good and it's timely. And I know there's some state executive orders that have to do with water conservation, and there's some new legislation that's coming up that we will want to discuss amongst ourselves how to address and how to do better at water conservation. I also know that we're giving a lot of thought to what else can we do in our municipal buildings? What can we do in the publicly owned property? Do we want to consider more retrofits? Do we want to do more irrigation audits? Do we want to look at the efficiency of older irrigation equipment? We have a new gray water policy. Let's see how that's working. Is that working well? We'll look at that. We have recycled water infrastructure, and let's look at promoting that. So there's a lot of opportunities here that have to do with water, and we want to really tease out. We want to be a model for water conservation, and we're going to look at that and bring that forward. And then not just that, but we want to educate and outreach to the community. And so I'm very excited to be part of the team to bring this forward for our consideration. And what we are bringing forward is the formation of a water conservation subcommittee. So with that, I'd like to move the recommendation, and I'll hand it to President Mosca.
I'm going to second that, and I just have a couple of comments because I think what Board Member Lyons just said is basically summarizes everything that we're trying to do, which is an ad hoc committee to look at, especially with all of the new laws that are coming down, and the fact that we're in a drought and we need to do more in terms of conservation. I think two things from my perspective. How can we reach out to the public, our ratepayers, and understand what else they can do? So it's really kind of having a conversation with our ratepayers, with our customers, and understanding what they're doing now and what else that they can do. And then surveying, what all the other Santa Fe Irrigation, OMWD, CWA, what everybody else is doing, and what we're doing, and see where there's gaps. And I do see with CWA and SFID here, perhaps we can partner with you in the future some forums, any other ways of talking about programs that you've adopted or things that we can adopt here in the city of Encinitas. So I'll second that motion as well.
I'll just make a comment.
Sure, Vice President Blakespear.
I was just going to say that I think there's potential in the gray water area, and I know several years ago when I tried to run down that rabbit hole, it seemed like there were a lot of barriers, and they were regulatory, and we had homeowners like Judy Burlfine and Dodlaw Ponazil, who built their own systems and were trying to pursue how they could actually get this permitted. And I don't know if those barriers have been worked out, and especially related to the county and some of the regional boards. But it does seem like the water that's used inside, there are certain types of that water that could be used to water the outside. So, but, I would be interested to hear if there's been any evolution in that space. But it does seem like that's something that is an area for improvement.
It's certainly something that we can put on our list to discuss and see what we can do to move toward that. Any other discussion on this item? Any public comment?
No, but do you want to, it's the formation of a subcommittee. Do you want to identify the members?
Yes, I would. Did you want to, since you're the mover?
I would identify myself, and I don't know if the timing's going to work, though.
Well, do you want to just have staff come back with some ideas?
Okay.
Like just to expedite this? So like what are some ideas that would reduce water?
I think that the idea was to, with an ad hoc committee, was to basically, for the two board members to really do a lion's share of the work in terms of reaching out to the public. So holding public hearings where we would basically meet with people. So I think staff can be involved in absolutely bringing, some ideas to the table at those meetings, but it would be nice for the board members to hold public hearings, to really bring out members of the public and ask them, what they think that they can do to achieve higher levels of conservation.
And I'd like to ask President Mosca if he'd be interested in being on that committee. Would you?
Yes.
Okay, and I would too, if my colleagues are in favor of that.
Yeah, you guys want to have public meetings? That's a great idea. I support it.
All right. So we have a motion, and Board Clerk, we are comfortable with that, what that motion is? Yes. All right, so we have a motion on the table, and as the first and the second, so let's vote.
Motion carries unanimously with Board Member Hinsey absent.
All right, so we have nothing else on our action item part of the agenda, so we're going to move to informational items, and a really important item, which we're going to be talking about or the board will be talking about for a number of years to come, Lake Hodges update presented by Interim Assistant Public Utilities Director Kyles. Thank you so much for the City of San Diego Assistant Public Utilities Director for being here, for giving several of us a tour of Lake Hodges last week. And also, we have a senior staff member from San Diego County Water Authority here with us today. And I see in the back row, we have a senior staff member from Santa Fe Irrigation District, which is one of our partners, longtime partner with San Diego Water District, and they own with them, we own jointly 25% of the storage rights at Lake Hodges. So I'm going to turn this over to our interim, not our interim, but our general manager to take this item.
All right. Actually, Drew was not able to be with us tonight, so Lisa is covering for Drew. He had some other arrangements before. So today we have with us the Executive Assistant Director, Lisa, and I apologize in advance for torturing your name, Said Laya. Is that close?
Salaya.
Salaya. And from the City of San Diego, and from the County Water Authority, Ava, she's the Director of Operational Maintenance, to provide us an update regarding the Lake Hodges repairs. As you are aware, the City of San Diego is conducting emergency repairs at Lake Hodges, which requires lowering the water level. And if you pass by, you could see where the water levels are right now. And the County Water Authority, Santa Fe Irrigation District, and San Diego Water District have been working closely together on this effort. And a technical advisory group was formed, and our senior civil engineer, Christina Olson, is actually representing the district on that committee. We appreciate the collaboration among the agencies on this project. And with that, I'm just going to have Lisa.
Thank you, Isam. So I'm Lisa Salaya. So I'm the Executive Assistant Director for the Public Utilities Department with the City of San Diego. And with me is Ava Plaisir, and she is, as Isam said, the O&M Director for the San Diego County Water Authority. I want to, build upon what Isam said. I really appreciate the partnership not only with San Diego, but also with Santa Fe and the San Diego County Water Authority. The collaboration and the partnership has been, I think, invaluable, not only when we had to reduce the water levels and there was no loss of water. That is a testament to the work that has to be done between these different agencies. And everybody has come to the table, and we really appreciate it. So thank you. And so today I just wanted to give you an update in regards to the Hodges Dam repairs, the height restrictions, and any new information that we have that has come to light over the last about a month and a half. Next slide. Thank you. So we're going to go through a little bit of background, what is new since August, how does that impact us, and then the next steps. To begin, as many of you are aware, the Hodges Catch Basin is quite large, as depicted in this chart on the San Diego River watershed. Next slide. The dam itself is over 100 years old. It has an arch buttress design that is no longer standard. Comprehensively, the city has initiated condition assessments of all of our dams, not just Lake Hodges. We have a total of 9 dams that we are comprehensively managing. And we've been doing this since 2016, which includes downstream and upstream assessment, underwater assessment on the upstream side of the dams. And Hodges has and continues to be our priority. Earlier this year, defects were identified, and a plan to reduce the water level from 292 feet to 275 was identified to perform immediate repairs. These repairs, as I stated, required the water level to be lowered to 275. Our initial schedule estimated that we would be able to start refilling to 293 by the end of October. Our goal had been to do the vast majority of these repairs before the rainy season began. The water agencies coordinated effectively to draw down that water, and we avoided any water release. And that's really, especially during this drought circumstance, that was the biggest goal that we had. And we appreciate not only the Water Authority and what they were doing with the Lake Hodges pump storage, but then each of the districts in taking in the water. From a recreation standpoint, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard it too, we did have to do a temporary closure, and that's had a lot of impact in regards to boating and the fishermen. But the river trail, the San Diego River trails are still open for biking and walking. And then we've been working on public communication. This is one area I think, and personally, I've always seen, maybe the city of San Diego, I don't know if you guys see it as much, is, that's not a strength that we have. And so we are trying to work on that, work effectively with everybody to get this information out. It's not just those who are in the city boundaries, it's everybody who may participate and enjoy our reservoirs. So what's new? So we did start the repairs earlier this year, and what happened is in August, as we always said, a picture say 1,000 words. What was identified was at 285 was a hole in the dam. We knew we had a defect. It was identified. We could feel the differential in pressure. But what happens is when we reduce the water level, we also do kind of a light pressure washing, and that's preparing the side of the concrete dam for a patch. When that did happen, we identified the extent of our damage. And so at 285, you'll see not only that hole, but you can kind of see, for those that haven't been at the dam, it's kind of built in like these bands, I would best say. So this is all along one band. You can see this damage. Everything we are doing is in relationship with, in coordination with our regulator, the Division Safety of Dams, DSOD. And they are routinely doing inspections with us throughout this repair period. And they observed these holes in conjunction with us, and they identified and then put us further height restrictions. And we got a letter just in August, and that it identified that during this repair period, you would be allowed to go up to 285. We always assumed that we'd be able, our previous height restriction was 295. We thought we'd be able to go as close to that. That is not what they are allowing us to do. We're only allowed to go up to 285 feet for repairs, and then we have to be back down to 275 feet by November 30th. That coordination is going to take, again, another process with the water authority in each of the districts, and we think that that's going to need to start by the end of October, if not, not right at the end, but towards late October, in order to be able to be down or below 275. In addition, we are asked to do what's called a consequence model. And what they're trying to identify is at what water level, if there was a full failure of the dam, would result in zero loss of life in those that are downstream from the dam. There is not clear, I would say not clear clarity, sorry, it's not clear exactly what DSOD is defining by loss of life. That is work we need to do. But we're still doing this. We're doing this consequence model right now. We've initiated that work to be done. We believe that we'll have preliminary information in November. And then once we have that data, we can start having conversations with DSOD. What are you looking at? What does that mean? They've given us a definition. It is a little ambiguous. And so, but what we have encountered, and rightfully so, is that DSOD is very conservative in their approach to managing these dams. And so right now we're going to continue the work we're doing. And so we have two paths, repair work and the consequence model. So just as a comparison, what does this impact? So our original repair plan, we're going to do this picture kind of, if you could zoom in a little bit, which you can't, it's all right. But what we have is on one area of it is we've been using floating docks. So we have a floating dock, and then they have a platform that the workers work off of. This gives them the ability to do work above them. So we had planned to utilize that method of repair up to 295 to 300 feet, so around that range. And then we'd be rappelling down to do any of the repairs from 300 to 315. And as I said earlier, that would give us the ability to refill by October and then have everything completed by January. However, now we're going to have to do more rappelling work. The contractor is trying to build us higher platforms. So we are still working in regards to, but we believe that we'll have to do rappelling work down to 290 to 300 feet. And that's going to add some time to our schedule and add cost. We get this question all the time, so I'll just head it off right now. We had an estimate of 10 million. Our 10 million estimate did include contingency funding, so just kind of give us some room. We're still utilizing, we're about 10.1 we think we'll be, because now we're just utilizing the contingency for this additional work. But at this point in time, we don't have additional contingency, so if anything did raise, we would have to address that. With that, I want to turn it over to Ava, who will talk about this slide.
Chair, could I ask a quick question before they switch speakers? Is the 10 million being paid by ratepayers of the city of San Diego?
At the current point, it is, and then we would get reimbursement based on the 50%, 25, 25 breakdown, well, 12.5 for each of the districts as it relates to our operating agreement.
Does that implicate this water district?
Yes,
So that the percentage you just said, which percentage are we?
you're 12.5.
Okay, and so what amount of money is that? Is it 12.5 of 10 million?
It's 11% out of 10 million because we split that with Santa Fe Irrigation District at 25%. So our share is 11% of that. So about $1.1 million based on this estimate that we came up with.
Okay, and you're working that into the budget that we're budgeting for?
We are trying to do that because this is something new. The original budget was much less than the $10 million or the $6 million before that 2 months ago. So, but we're working on that part of it. And we are working with the State of San Diego to see if we can distribute that amount of money over few years for reimbursement to the city.
Okay, because we also were getting a third of our water from Lake Hodges, so that's water that was cheaper that we're not getting anymore. So our water costs are up too, I'm sure. So, okay. Okay, just wanted to get my arms around all these costs. Okay, thank you.
Yes, and we are very open to working with the districts. We understand the impact on a smaller district, so it's different. So we truly get that. So we're working on how do we, so we are fronting it right now, and we're identifying how to reimburse that, absolutely.
Thank you, Lisa. So I'll just cover this little slide on the impacts, and Lisa covered what the original evacuation of water from Hodges looked like. In order to facilitate the repairs, we put some additional water in September. We added about 1,200 acre-feet to the lake to raise the water level to about 278 in order to facilitate the repairs. Fortunately, we were able to do that refill during the recent solar energy emergency, so we were able to generate 20 megawatts for SDG&E at the same time. We will also have to put additional 2,800 acre-feet to bring it up to 285. And then, as Lisa said, by November 30th, we'll have to be back down to 275. That's about 4,000 acre-feet. Unfortunately, the way our equipment is at the pump storage facility, we just we can push the equipment to pump out of the lake to about 280. That is pushing the limits of the equipment. It goes outside our warranty boundaries, but it's within our emergency operation boundaries. So we can go all the way to about 280. But after that, the districts will take over again and gravity drain to 275 like we did before, so we don't lose any water due to the drought. So that's the current plan for the operations.
And so, and then continuing on, what does this impact? So this does require that CWA's pump storage facility at Lake Hodges is continued to be closed. Unless DSOD approves a height limit, a higher height limit, and that number still has to be figured out, and with the San Diego County Water Authority on what is best for their operations. We don't have the ability to do that until DSOD gives us the approval, and we can't even discuss it or negotiate it until we have that consequence modeling complete. In addition, we still have our continued closure of our water recreation activities. I would like to note that Lake Hodges is normally closed to fishing and boating starting in November through February. We are investigating right now because we might be in a longer term restriction in regards to the height. We would like to figure out some alternatives in regards to how to address our recreation program. So we're going to take this time right now during the rainy season to evaluate and come up with some plans, some more information to come on that. In addition, like you said, it also is reduced runoff storage from rain. It's free water. We're a water district, I'm a background in finance. I love my free water. And so we all have that, we all are impacted on that, and that in the situation right now, depending on where we're at in regards to the height restrictions, we still have that potential that water may have to be released. It's all dependent on when it rains and what we can do and how quickly we can be responsive. So that is still a potential that we want to make sure is clear for everybody. But we will do everything in our power not to release water. That's always our goal. And just like today, and there's a lot of also people behind the scenes that are doing a lot of work. Operations staffs from all the different districts are meeting routinely and coordinating, and that will continue to go on. We also will continue to adjust as we find new information, in regards to our platform, if they can raise that higher, we won't have to do additional repelling, and that way we can be responsive to the repairs. Communicating with our public is important. I understand, not just in San Diego, it's everywhere. There are multiple people that are being impacted. We will be reviewing the consequence analysis and discussing that with DSOD. That's not going to happen any earlier than November, probably later in November, but we just want to set that expectation for everybody. And then also we are putting into procedures in place that will operate the reservoir under these restricted water levels during rain events. When we had the restricted water level before these repairs started at 295, DSOD would generally give us about 10 days to get the water levels down. We'll have to see what that looks like. Hodges, as earlier I stated, has a huge catch basin. It fills up quickly. So that's going to be a challenge. Not that it's a positive, it is a La Nina. And so whether or not we get how much rain this year is still to be determined. But that is something that we still will be managing with each of the districts. And so with that concludes my formal presentation, and we're here to answer any questions.
Lisa, I want to thank you for you coming today, and Ava. Thank you for your team's work on this. I know that there's a lot of work behind the scenes, and I want to thank you for that, and thank you for the tour. Thank you for the collaboration, because I think it means a lot, especially where we find ourselves right now with this project. It's going to be a long road, and we need to make sure that we're coordinating. I very much like the fact that we now have a technical committee where our folks and folks from Santa Fe Irrigation District can sit on this technical committee and understand what's going on so that they can communicate that with us. So the collaboration is extremely important. I just also want to reiterate that this is a serious project for our water district. As was said, we have 25% storage rights in Lake Hodges, and that's not only the benefit of having the storage rights, but it's also a responsibility, because we now have 11% of the overall financial cost burden of this project, which means that as we're spending $10 million, these are only interim repairs. The ultimate repair is likely to be a brand new dam downstream, which is going to be north of $300 million. So it's important that we understand the gravity of the fact that this is, not only a huge asset that our districts have been spending a lot of money on our ability to clean up that water and use that water over the years, and we have a lot sitting there. But it's also a very large liability for a very small district coming up. And so the collaboration is very important to us, and we want to continue to have this really great relationship with CWA and the city of San Diego as we move through this process. I think it's important that we work with the state on this consequential analysis, and that we get this water level up as high as it is safe to do so. 285, 290 would be a goal. We would love to have that. I think even as Ava was talking about the ability to pump up to Liebenhain Reservoir and turn the turbines for the pump storage below, which is going to also have a consequence on the ratepayers of CWA. And so I think it's important that we're aiming for that. I think it's important that we're, you said it's a priority. So, and I believe, based on what I've seen so far, that the city of San Diego and all partners see this as a priority. It's important that we move forward as quickly as possible, and that we're not still analyzing this 10, 15 years down the line. We need to get this dam done. Otherwise, we'll be back and forth with lowering the water levels, doing more interim repairs, and it's going to cost our ratepayers a lot more in the long run. Also think that as maybe another of my colleagues is serving up in Sacramento, that we're able to really work together and lobby Sacramento and DC when we have a project together for the funding that we need for this project, and that all the funding that, if it's the city of San Diego or CWA, whomever is leading the lobbying and getting those dollars, that it basically counts against the overall the amount that's the overall cost for the project, and it's lowering everybody's overhead. And it's not necessarily like if CWA is lobbying and they get $50 million, it's not just lowering their 50% share, but it's lowering everybody's share across the board. I think that's extremely important. And lastly, I think that when we're looking at this project, we've had this conversation before here at San Diego Water District about, why can't we dredge Lake Hodges? Now, I don't want to start any kind of large environmental debate, but or even raise up the dam in a way that we're allowing for even greater levels of storage. I would say that without taking a position, that we should explore, as we're putting, millions of dollars into this facility, we should explore all the ways that it hasn't served our purpose in the past, and that we should think about in the planning to implement additional amenities, recreational amenities, amenities that will allow us to store greater water, all kinds of amenities that would make this even more useful and serve our purpose for the next 100 years. So anyways, I'm going to go to my colleagues, whoever is in the queue. And that is Board Member Kranz.
Great, thank you. I appreciate the presentation, and sorry I couldn't make it to the tour, because that would have been very interesting. So as I'm listening to the presentation, a thought occurred to me, which indeed may be blasphemous, but is there analysis being done as to what might happen if there was no dam, if there was no Lake Hodges?
Like in the event of a failure, or just not having Hodges anymore?
So like if we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, and the millions of dollars that we're talking about, you mentioned free water, but the reality is that it's not really free if we have to maintain a dam to store it. And so the question is, if as we're offloading and lowering the level of the dam, the question is, we're storing the water that's in there now in some other location, and maybe those facilities, it would be better to take the money, the resources, to maybe enhance the capacity, increase the capacity at those locations, as opposed to taking this 100-year-old dam and trying to fix it or build a brand new one behind it or whatever. And so it is my hope that we're doing an analysis that allows us to make an informed decision about all choices. And I know when you do NEPA and CEQA, there's supposed to be the no-build alternative. And so we know no-build would mean that the failure of this dam or the removal of this dam, and therefore we would lose that capacity. But are there other alternatives for the storage of that water in some other location in the region? And the reason I think it's important that we do that analysis is because just in talking about the $1 million plus that our ratepayers are going to be asked to pay for these interim improvements or repairs, that's a big nut to crack for our small district. So, I think that the reality is that we need to, swallow hard and make some very important choices. As much as I appreciate having the ability to store this water in that location, it almost sounds like one of the prime considerations is the recreational aspects. And I don't think the ratepayers of San Diego Water District necessarily want to provide fishing and skiing and other boating opportunities for people in the region. And maybe I'm a little selfish because I don't like fishing, but the reality is that this is going to be a very expensive project. And maybe the state steps forward and pays for the whole thing, or enough so that our 5,000 ratepayers don't get crushed. But the reality is that this is a huge project, and the more news we get, the more clear it's becoming that it's going to be expense sooner rather than later. And then finally, I think one of the more important lessons from all this is that as the San Diego Water District Board, I think we need to do a better job of constantly accruing money towards that next project 100 years down the road. We have not done that very effectively, and I think that the lesson here is avoid the difficult process of having to collect much more in a shorter period of time would be my preference. And I think that it's key that we are capable of explaining the needs to our ratepayers so that they buy into that approach. Thank you.
I would like to also state that you are absolutely correct in regards to analyzing the needs of that dam and making sure we fully explore in regards to what we're doing in regards to full repairs. The one consideration that wasn't brought up is that we consider a significant flood control dam too. Otherwise, without it, the flooding that would be caused. So that was one of the priorities that we also are evaluating when we're looking at the long-term kind of path of what we're doing.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think that's obviously a challenge because of the development that has taken place in that river valley. So there may be no alternative but to continue to dam this particular water body, and so if that's the case, I think one of the issues for me as a member of this board is that the cost, the burden of the repairs for this dam or the reconstruction of the construction of a new dam should be borne not just by the ratepayers of San Diego and Santa Fe and the city of San Diego, but we need to look downstream at Fairbanks Ranch and some of the other areas that we are essentially we're in a box because we can't remove the dam. If we have no choice, then our ratepayers shouldn't bear the burden of building a new dam just because if we don't, we're going to flood a bunch of homes. So really a critical conversation, and having this conversation in the current environment where the governor has made it clear we need to do a lot of work with regard to water. Are there alternatives that we can deal with the impacts of flooding and stormwater that don't involve a dam? But I'm going to hear it from the bass fishermen out there, I trust. So one last question. I had heard anecdotally that there were some ponds of water that had a lot of fish in them that from the lowering. Was there an environmental team involved in the lowering that would move fish if they were trapped by the lowering of the water level?
I don't know specifically about that, and I can get back, but we have had our environmental team coordinating with our ops team as a part of the reducing of that, yes.
So I think that just those are fair points, and I think I would say that those are all points as to why we think that some state and federal money will come to play on this. But our responsibility with Santa Fe Irrigation District is 25%, and so we're not going to escape that. It's going to be 25%. More money that we can bring in, the better off we are. And then, beyond the flood control aspect that Lisa just noted, I'd say from a CWA perspective, and from a San Diego Water District perspective, and from a Santa Fe Irrigation District perspective, the cost of storage is going to greatly, if we had to go to the market and buy storage, it would greatly exceed the cost of repairing this. And the gift that our founding fathers gave us with this reservoir keeps on giving. This is an amazing asset for San Diego Water District, and I think that we should continue to repair it and make sure that it stands up for the next 100 years. And I think that what we need to do is probably talk a little bit more about this ESOM, talk about if we had to buy from CWA, and I'm sure the CWA, Ava, and others would love for us to buy 100% of our water from the wholesaler. But if we had to buy water from CWA, and we're talking about this now, what does that cost look like out into perpetuity compared to what we do now. I think that that's what one of my board members is asking for. So I think we need to continue having that conversation as to why this asset is important. I'm sure it's important to the city of San Diego, but it's even more important to CWA and San Diego and Santa Fe. So I'm going to call on Vice President Blakespear now.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to follow up on Councilmember Kranz's sort of statement question. Is it actually being considered at all to remove the dam? Is that a conversation piece?
I know that we're analyzing it because, as I said, as a part of CEQA, you have to have the no build. So that's being there. I think it is looking at the preferred approach. There are a couple of preferred approach, and one of them is replacing the dam, a full replacement. So there were 6 alternatives being analyzed in regards to, and I think it's by the end of the year we'll be making that final decision. But it is looking like it's the full replacement.
Yeah, but there's a difference between a dam failure and a dam removal. Like, is there? So there's not a dam removal as one of those 6. It's a no repair
build.
would
Yeah, I
eventually
don't-
lead to dam failure,
Yeah.
right? But you're not looking at dam removal. Okay, I just wanted to get my bearings here about what we're all saying. Okay, and then my other question is sort of ancillary, but you were saying we need to improve the recreation opportunities, and I was just curious if do we see those as just being possible at 10 feet and 20 feet lower? Like, can you still?
We would have to figure out the boat launch. So there's ability to, extend it. We're going to analyze what does that take, what does that look like, and whether or not it's at these different. So we're going to have to analyze when we're looking at the different levels, what is the feasibility in regards to that, and how much is that going to cost. We're going to look at that. So we're hearing loud and clear from the recreation. So we are just going to analyze it. We're not just going to say it's closed indefinitely.
Right.
We want to explore everything, but obviously, that takes stakeholder input too, and we'll be working through that over the
And
next couple months.
Are the trails around the lake closed, like the hiking and mountain biking trails?
No.
Okay, it's just the inside of the lake use is closed. Okay, thanks very much.
Board Member Lyons?
I just wanted to comment on the fact of the recreation. Any costs associated with the recreation part, the district does not have to pay any share of that. So we are only responsible for the operation and maintenance of the dam for the storage portion.
We have encouraged San Diego to improve the recreational part over the years, and they've done a great job.
But
So the water in Lake Hodges and this dam is so important to us, not only San Diego Water District, but all of our customers. So I want to ask a few things. Can we get a regular update on this? Because even though I am in a position where I'm staying informed, I think we're learning a lot as we go through this process, and it's just so important to us that is not only as far as water availability, clean water availability, and cost, but how we plan forward with our budgeting and accommodate it. So when we first were considering this, of course, we didn't know, as far as the repairs, we didn't know the extent of it, and that's why we did the investigation. So now we know more. So I understand the presentation is, well, it looks like about 10 million now, whereas it didn't look that much before. I know maybe it's still a little bit preliminary, but that 10 million is associated with time frame too to conduct these repairs. Is there any thought on the amount of time it will take? Because I'm looking at the reduced quantity of water and the cost and the consequences over time, and I want to get a better feel for what that time period looks like.
And that is the $50,000 question that I've even put upon my staff. Moving towards the long-term repairs are what we need to do, and we're evaluating it. You will hear sometimes people saying it could take us 10 to 15 years to get a new dam.
Right.
It's unacceptable in a lot of ways from a different. So the challenge to the team has been, what can we do? What do we need to do? How do we expedite it? And what's realistic? So they are working on that plan right now and what that will take. And so that way we can come back and start communicating, just like you said, regular updates about that, of what we can do. And that has been given the directive, and the team is working on that. So I don't have the information, sorry, can't tell you right now, but
That's okay.
I heard you the same
It's a
thing. I
work
can't
in
wait
progress.
10 to 15 years. I can't put Hodges Pump Storage out of
Yeah.
business for 10 to, I can't do that. So, you know, and so we want to move. The other thing is, you know, I hate to say it, but with you guys, it's, you know, you had the one dam, but we also have 8 more that we're also addressing. I can't wait 15 years to do this one, then the next, you know, so we're trying to start this one and then overlap with our next one, so that way we're doing this programmatically and sequentially. So we'll have more information probably towards the end of the year on that too.
Great. I am appreciative, very, very much so, that we have a good communication channel and that our folks are at the table with the technical committee. So we want to stay informed, and we don't want surprises. And in this continuing, evolving, and very important topic, the more information we have, the better we can plan for ourselves and our customers. And we just want to do that. We want to do that the best way possible. I've always looked at this from the perspective of, it looks like we need to have a new dam, so I just want to kind of reinforce that that makes a lot of sense to me, and I know those take 15 or so years. So this is going to be a long haul, and this is going to be expensive, but this is really important, and we're learning more all the time. So good. I did want to also ask if the consequence model is something that we can be informed about, or if it's something, imagine it's a matter of public information, and maybe that consequence model is something we could learn more about. It seems really important because it talks about public health and safety. So.
Absolutely, and I can envision being here once we have that information and providing you an update. Not a problem, but that was always our intent, that once we have that information, it's not only sharing it with our regulators, DSOD, but each one of you, and then also with the public too.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, I don't see any, did you have a? All right, I don't see any other hands, so this is a receive and file. I'm going to say thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Ava. Thank you to the team so much for coming today and being clear on everything. We appreciate the collaboration. We appreciate you guys, so thank you. So next on our agenda is 11B, San Dieguito Water District and SFID Joint Facilities Update. This is going to be talking about our joint facilities there at Lake Hodges that we has been spending millions of dollars on over the years to clean that water up. So presenting is Senior Civil Engineer Olson, and also Joint Santa Fe Irrigation District Engineer Manager Marissa Potter, who is one of my favorite Santa Fe Irrigation District employees. Besides Al, who lives here. And votes for me.
Thank you, President Mosca, members of the board. This informational item before you tonight is the Joint Facilities Fiscal Year 2022-2023 Capital Improvements Program Update. Next slide, please. The San Dieguito Water District and the Santa Fe Irrigation District jointly own imported treated water and imported raw water connections with the San Diego County Water Authority. In addition, the districts jointly own local raw water conveyance, storage, and treatment facilities that supply water to both San Dieguito's and Santa Fe's potable water distribution system. These jointly owned facilities are operated and maintained by Santa Fe Irrigation District. I will now hand the presentation over to Marissa Potter, Engineering Services Manager with the Santa Fe Irrigation District, to highlight the projects within the Joint Facilities Capital Improvements Program.
Okay, thank you very much, Christina. Thank you, President Mosca and members of the board. Again, my name is Marissa Potter with the Santa Fe Irrigation District. I'm in the Engineering Services Manager. I know there's a hard time limit, so I will get through this update as quickly as I can. And I do appreciate that you have me here today to show these to you. Next slide. As Christina mentioned, our joint facilities really contain that Ari Badger filtration plant, which some of you have been able to visit, our San Dieguito Dam, which is a small replica scale of the Lake Hodges Dam, of the San Dieguito Reservoir and the San Dieguito Pump Station, as well as a hydroelectric facility, Cielo Pump Station, and Hodges Flume, which actually conveys that local water from Lake Hodges to our San Diego Reservoir, and then 16 miles of pipeline ranging from 18-inch to 54-inch diameter. Our joint facilities capital improvement projects are updated annually to consider improved cost information, various phases of planning, project definition and design, and tracking industry standards, as well as balancing that revenue expenditures. We work with Mary here at the San Diego Water District to really coordinate those finances to make sure we're within those budget limits. So with that, I just want to go through some FY22 highlights that we went through. We completed a master plan for the joint facilities, which really establishes that roadmap for the next 10 years, as well as balancing that budget for both Santa Fe and San Diego. We completed an energy management plan, which immediately resulted in a savings overall to both districts of about $130,000, which is approximately $56,000 to San Diego Water District from changing our pump facilities from just their rate, the rate schedule that they're on. So we had an immediate assessment recommendation, which we completed with SDG&E and completed that and are now seeing that savings. We completed the roof pad project. Here's just a couple of pictures of what the old roof looked like and what the new roof looks like. And we completed the Clearwell and wash water tank seismic improvements, which we received grant funding for. Next slide, please. Overall, the total projects started at about $1.8 million and $5.3 million, with a total grant funding of about $3.7 million. So San Diego received of that grant funding about $1.5 million, which is all complete. So we're waiting for our retention to be dispersed so we can distribute that, which is about 10% of that $3.7 million. Next slide. This is a quick video of the tank project that we did. We actually moved the tank to another location to install all the seismic retrofits. Every time I look at this video, I see something new. So just for perception or for an idea, this is an 80-foot tall tank, 46 feet in diameter. It stores about 1 million gallons of water, which we use as our filter backwash system. Next slide.
You engineers are pretty amazing.
With that, moving to the fiscal year 23 projects, this is a list of the projects for this year. We do have, I'm just going to touch on one project that we're completing next month, which is the top three. If there's any questions about any of the other projects, I'd be happy to go into them. Next slide. So the mechanical dewatering improvements and San Diego Dam improvements projects was a total capital project of about $10.3 million. And we do anticipate completion next month. We have a total construction contingency with change orders less than 3%. So we were spot on under our budget for all the projects. And this shows you the handrail replacement as well as some of the concrete dam refurbishment that the district did for our San Diego Dam. This is the mechanical dewatering improvements that were completed. We retrofitted the existing gravity thickener, which you see on the bottom right. We put in a new solids holding tank in the middle, as well as a new centrifuge building. And then on the right, you can see what's inside that centrifuge building, which is a new centrifuge. This treats all our solids that we get. So all the raw water we take, all that, like Hodges water and raw water from County Water Authority, this is where the solids is treated and disposed of. Next slide. Other than the capital projects, engineering activities that we're looking at right now are evaluating large-scale solar projects at the filtration plant, the San Diego pump station and Cielo pump stations. We're looking at availability for SDG&E's renewable energy, self-generation bill credit, RESBCT tariff, and although right now in our current budget, we do not have a capital budget for large-scale solar projects, we'll be looking to negotiate a PPA with some vendors once we look at the feasibility, which we're in right now. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great presentation. Of course, the last slide really does kind of bug me a little bit, being the chair of the San Diego Community Power program. I would say just add it, I mean, if we're going to negotiate a separate PPA, we should be looking to our community choice energy program as one option as to deliver clean renewable energy at a discounted price. So I would say if we could add a fourth bullet to the extent that any of these assets are within the county of San Diego or within areas of San Diego Community Power, or even if they're in with Clean Energy Alliance, that we ought to be exploring the CCAs as well.
I appreciate that. I did hear you last time. I looked at the energy report that we completed. We're looking at that through customers. The commercial portion was actually full at the time when we completed the energy report for the CCAs. So we did look at participating, and we will look into it again if the projects move forward to definitely address that, whether we can enter that or not.
Good. Well, we saved a lot of money just looking at time of use, so that was awesome. All right. Anybody have a question on this? I can't see if you have a hand raised, so please just shout out.
Yes.
All right. So we have Board Member Kranz.
I've seen some reservoirs which use solar panels on top of their water, floating solar panels, and it serves two purposes: generating electricity, but also reduces evaporation. Is that something that we're looking at all for San Diego?
Yes, we have met with a consultant out there to review and evaluate that and the viability as well as the connections and electrical.
Great.
Through the
Thank
lake.
you.
And I wanted to just support the president's reference to using San Diego Community Power instead of SDG&E, if at all possible, or the other CCA that's in the county. So I just want to make sure you heard that support from multiple board members.
Great, thank you.
All right. I don't see any other hands being raised, so I'm going to say thank you, Marissa. Thank you for the strong partnership with Santa Fe Irrigation District over the years, and thank you for this report. So we're going to receive and file this report. And that is it for 11B. 12 moves to the next item, which is board member reports pursuant to AB 1234. Do any of my colleagues have anything to report?
I don't have anything to report for 1, 2, 3, 4, but I do want to share an experience that I had today. Not long ago, I was able to do a ride-along with the Sheriff's Department, and today I got to do a ride-along with a maintenance crew out on my street in Leucadia, and I brought some pictures here. There was a broken main, and they had been out there for a while trying to figure out, because there was a storm drain that was just draining water constantly. So they came out and discovered the problem and came back today to apply the fix. And so a dozen homes or so had their water shut off, and the crew put a section of pipe in, and it was remarkable work. And I just wanted to tip my cap. There's a couple other pictures. I don't know if you want to share those at all, but great group of guys working hard to save as much water as possible. And it was a great operation, and I enjoyed and appreciated them answering my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Kranz, and thank you, Isam. If you can extend that to the entire team, thank you.
Will do so. Thank you.
All right, so no other board member reports pursuant to AB 1234, and we have no general information updates. I'm sorry, General Manager, Isam, do you have anything to report?
I actually have two items. One of them is a lengthy item, so I don't really know, for the sake of time, if you want to have it next time. And this was the response to the Director Grant's comment last time in regards to the governor's strategy for hotter and drier California. So
why don't we take it offline with Board Member Krantz, and then we can bring that report back to the next board meeting.
Okay, sounds
good. What was the second item?
And the second item, we will be attending the EcoFest on October 9th from 10 to 4. So if you guys have something to do on Sundays, you can join us, and we will be more happy to have you. And the booth will have, a portion of it will be for the 100-year anniversary of the district, and the other portion will be for the conservation efforts.
Great. Thank you so much for having the district participate in that. All right, so no other business before the San Diego Water District Board, so I'm going to call this meeting adjourned, and I'm going to turn it over to the mayor.
Well, thank you. I know all of you are here for the regular meeting of the Encinitas City Council. We need to take a quick break, so we'll be back as soon as possible, about 5 minutes to start the regular City Council meeting.